welcome to EnglishVibesHub, the channel where we dive into the fascinating world of English and help you improve your language skills. I'm Emma, and I'm excited to be here today with Liam to talk about something really interesting: navigating cultural differences in English, particularly when it comes to understanding idioms and expressions in daily conversations.
That's right, Emma. Cultural differences can sometimes make English a bit tricky, especially when native speakers use idioms or expressions that might not be immediately clear to non-native speakers. Today, we're going to explore some of these and help our viewers understand and use them more confidently in their conversations.
Exactly. So, let's start with something simple but very useful. Have you ever heard the expression break a leg? It's something you might say to a friend before they go on stage or do something that makes them a bit nervous. But what does it really mean?
Well, Emma, break a leg is a great example of an idiom that doesn't mean what it literally says. Instead of wishing someone harm, it's actually a way of saying good luck. It's believed to have originated in the theater, where it was considered bad luck to wish someone good luck directly. So this phrase is a way of expressing a positive sentiment while avoiding the actual words good luck.
That's such a fascinating history, Liam, and it's a good illustration of how idioms can be very culturally specific. Another example is cost an arm and a leg, which means something is very expensive. Can you think of a time when you might use this expression in a conversation?
Definitely. For instance, if someone asks you about a new designer handbag, you might say, "That handbag costs an arm and a leg, doesn't it?" It's a way of acknowledging that the item is pricey without directly stating the price. And it's a more engaging way to express the idea than simply saying it's expensive.
Engaging is the right word, Liam. Using idioms and expressions like this can really add flavor to your conversations and make them more interesting. Let's consider another one: beat around the bush. This means to avoid talking directly or clearly about something. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where someone was beating around the bush, and you wished they would just get to the point?
Yes, I think we all have. It can be frustrating when someone is being evasive or indirect, but understanding this idiom can help you navigate those situations better. For example, if someone is beating around the bush, you might politely interrupt and say, "Let's get straight to the point, shall we?" It shows you're aware of what's happening and helps to move the conversation forward.
Navigating these situations can be tricky, but being aware of the idioms and expressions that are commonly used can really help. Let's think about cut to the chase as well. This means to get to the point without wasting time on unnecessary details. It's often used in meetings or when discussing plans to move the conversation forward more efficiently.
Right, and it's interesting because cut to the chase actually comes from the film industry. In editing, cut to the chase meant to skip unnecessary scenes and get to the exciting chase scene. Now, in everyday language, it means to skip the boring parts of a conversation and get to the important or interesting bits. It's a very visual and memorable way to express the idea of moving a conversation forward.
I love how these expressions have such rich histories and uses. It really shows how language is alive and evolves over time. As we continue our discussion, let's explore more of these idioms and expressions. And maybe we can even share some personal anecdotes about times when we've used them or encountered them in conversations.
That sounds like a great plan, Emma. And I'm sure our viewers have plenty of their own stories and questions about navigating cultural differences in English. We'd love to hear from you in the comments below. For now, let's keep the conversation going and see where it takes us.
Before we dive deeper, let's take a moment to think about why mastering these idioms and expressions is so important for effective communication. It's not just about understanding what someone is saying. It's also about being able to express yourself clearly and naturally in response.
Absolutely, Emma. Being able to use idioms and expressions correctly can make a big difference in how you're perceived by native speakers. It shows that you're making an effort to understand and participate in the culture, which can lead to more meaningful connections and better relationships.
And it's not just about personal relationships. It's also crucial in professional settings. Imagine you're in a business meeting and someone says, "Let's think outside the box." If you're not familiar with this idiom, you might feel lost or left out of the conversation. But if you understand it means to think creatively, you can contribute your ideas and be a more active participant.
Exactly. It's about being part of the conversation, not just a passive listener. and mastering these idioms can give you the confidence to speak up and share your thoughts, which is invaluable in any setting.
Confidence is key, isn't it? When you feel comfortable using idioms and expressions, you're more likely to engage in conversations that might otherwise seem daunting. And that's what we want to encourage our viewers to do. Embrace the challenge of learning and using these expressions to enhance their English skills.
Well said, Emma. And to help our viewers get started, let's summarize the idioms we've discussed so far and maybe introduce a few more as we continue our conversation.
That's a great idea, Liam. Let's take a quick look back at break a leg, cost an arm and a leg, beat around the bush, and cut to the chase. These are all useful expressions that can help you navigate different situations, from offering encouragement to moving a conversation forward.
And remember, the key to mastering these expressions is to practice using them in context. Try to incorporate them into your daily conversations, even if it feels a bit awkward at first. The more you use them, the more natural they'll become.
Practice is essential, Liam. And to help our viewers practice, we might consider sharing some exercises or prompts in our next segment that they can use to improve their skills with idioms and expressions.
That sounds like a plan, Emma. Let's make sure to include some interactive elements to keep our conversation engaging and useful for everyone watching.
Interactive elements can really make a difference in how viewers engage with the content. Let's think about how we can make this segment as engaging as possible while still focusing on the topic at hand.
I think we're off to a great start, Emma. By exploring these idioms and expressions in a conversational way, we're giving our viewers a chance to learn in a relaxed and natural setting.
Relaxed and natural is exactly what we're aiming for. Learning should be enjoyable, not stressful. And with the right approach, anyone can improve their English skills and become more confident in their ability to communicate effectively.
I couldn't agree more, Emma. Confidence in communication is transformative. It opens doors to new relationships, opportunities, and experiences. And mastering idioms and expressions is a big part of achieving that confidence.
Well, Liam, it seems like we've covered a lot of ground so far, but there's still so much more to explore. Let's keep the conversation going and see where it takes us next.
Sounds good to me, Emma. I'm excited to continue our discussion and delve deeper into the world of idioms and expressions. There's always more to learn, and I'm sure our viewers are eager to learn alongside us.
I completely agree, Liam. Delving deeper into idioms and expressions can be really fascinating. For instance, have you ever heard the phrase to cut to the chase? It means to get to the point or the most interesting part of a conversation without wasting time on unnecessary details.
Actually, yes, I have. And I think it's a great example of how idioms can help us navigate cultural differences in communication. But what about to rain on someone's parade? I've heard that one used in a few different contexts, but I'm not entirely sure what it means.
Well, to rain on someone's parade is an idiom that means to spoil or ruin someone's plans or event. For example, if someone was really looking forward to a party, but then it started raining heavily, you could say that the rain rained on their parade. It's a way of describing something that's disappointing or frustrating.
That makes sense. I can see how that would be useful in conversation. What about to take it with a grain of salt? I've heard that one used a lot, especially when people are talking about rumors or gossip.
Exactly. To take it with a grain of salt means to be skeptical or cautious, and not to take something at face value. It's a way of saying that you're not entirely sure if something is true, so you're approaching it with a bit of skepticism. For example, if someone told you a rumor about a new restaurant in town, you might say, "I'll take that with a grain of salt," until you can verify it for yourself.
I see what you mean, and that reminds me of a time when I was traveling in a foreign country and I had to navigate a lot of cultural differences. I was trying to order food at a restaurant, but the menu was all in a language I didn't speak. I had to wing it and hope that I was ordering something good.
To wing it is a great idiom, Liam. It means to improvise or do something without planning or preparation. I'm sure that was a bit nerve-wracking, but it's also a great way to learn and adapt to new situations. And it's a perfect example of how idioms can help us describe complex situations in a more concise and colorful way.
Absolutely. And speaking of adapting to new situations, I've been thinking about how we can use idioms to help us break the ice in social situations. You know, when you're meeting new people and you want to start a conversation, but you're not sure where to begin.
That's a great point, Liam. Using idioms can be a fantastic way to break the ice and establish a connection with someone. For example, you could say something like, "I'm feeling under the weather today," to start a conversation about the weather or your health. It's a way of finding common ground and building a rapport with someone.
I like that example, and it makes me think of another idiom, to be on the same page. It means to be in agreement or to have a shared understanding with someone. I think that's really important in any kind of communication, whether it's personal or professional.
Exactly. Being on the same page is crucial for effective communication. And it's an idiom that can be used in a lot of different contexts, from business meetings to social gatherings. Okay, let's do a role play and practice using some of these idioms in conversation. I'll start by saying that I'm planning a party and I want to invite you, but I'm not sure if you'll be able to come.
Sounds like fun, Emma, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to make it. I've got a lot on my plate at the moment, and I don't want to overcommit myself. Can you give me some more details about the party, and we can take it from there?
Well, the party is going to be next weekend, and it's going to be a pretty casual affair. We'll have food, drinks, and music, and it'll be a great chance to catch up with some friends. But I don't want to rain on your parade if you're not feeling up to it. Maybe we can touch base closer to the date and see how you're feeling.
That sounds like a great plan, Emma, and I appreciate your understanding. I'll definitely take that with a grain of salt and see how my schedule looks closer to the date. But in the meantime, let's not put all our eggs in one basket. What else is going on in your life that's exciting?
Actually, I've been thinking about taking a trip abroad soon. I've always wanted to visit Japan and experience the culture firsthand. But I'm not sure if it's the right time, so I'm going to have to weigh my options carefully and not count my chickens before they hatch.
That sounds like an amazing adventure, Emma. I'm sure you'll have a blast. And it's great that you're being cautious and not getting ahead of yourself. Maybe we can brainstorm some ideas and help you make a decision. After all, 2 heads are better than 1, right?
Absolutely, Liam. I'd love to get your input and hear your thoughts. Let's think outside the box and come up with some creative solutions. And who knows, maybe we'll stumble upon something that's the icing on the cake.
I like the way you think, Emma, and I'm sure that with a bit of creativity and perseverance, we can come up with something that's really special. After all, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, right?
Exactly, Liam. And I think that's a great place to leave our conversation for now. Let's pick up where we left off next time and see where the conversation takes us.
Sounds good to me, Emma. I'm looking forward to it. And in the meantime, I'll be thinking about some more idioms and expressions that we can explore. Maybe we can even come up with some of our own.
I think that's a fantastic idea, Liam. Coming up with our own idioms and expressions can be a fun way to learn and engage with the language. And speaking of learning, let's dive into a few more phrasal verbs that might be useful in everyday conversations.
Absolutely, Emma. I've been thinking about pick up and how it can have different meanings. For example, if you say, "I picked up a book at the store," it means you bought it. But if you say, "I picked up French in just a few months," it means you learned it quickly.
That's right, Liam. And another one is turn down. This can mean to reduce the volume of something, like, "Can you turn down the music?" But it can also mean to reject an offer or invitation, such as, "I turned down the job offer because it didn't align with my goals."
Exactly, and what about get on? This one can mean to board a vehicle, like "I got on the bus at the corner." But it can also mean to have a good relationship with someone, such as "I get on really well with my colleagues."
I love that one, Liam. And let's not forget about call off. This phrasal verb can mean to cancel something, like the concert was called off due to bad weather. But it can also mean to stop doing something, such as "I'm going to call off the search party because we've found what we were looking for."
These examples are really helpful, Emma. I think our listeners will appreciate the explanations and the different contexts in which these phrasal verbs can be used. It's all about understanding the nuances of the language and being able to use it naturally.
Absolutely, Liam. And to wrap up, I think it's essential to remember that learning idioms and expressions is an ongoing process. The more you practice and expose yourself to different contexts, the more comfortable you'll become with using them in your daily conversations.
I couldn't agree more, Emma. And I think our listeners will find that the more they engage with the language, the more they'll start to pick up on these idioms and expressions naturally. It's all about immersion and practice.
Well, I think that's all the time we have for today. It was great chatting with you, Liam, and exploring the world of idioms and expressions in English.
Likewise, Emma, it's always a pleasure. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in to this episode of English Vibes Hub. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content on learning English and navigating cultural differences.
And we'll catch you all in the next one. Until then, keep practicing and stay tuned for more exciting episodes on English Vibes Hub.